First off, just to recap on Friday's game, just really proud of our guys. It was a heck of a win. Like I said, really good team, well coached. Got smashed by the flu. And in all my years, 13 years as a head coach, I had never experienced the amount of issues that we've had with the flu like we had last week. And then, not being able to practice and all those things and just kind of showing up to play. So, but we found a way that second half. So really proud of our guys. Tomorrow, Wisconsin, very good basketball team, very well coached. They got a lot of good players. They won the Maui Invitational. They're top 25 in the country. The kid, Davidson, who we actually, when I got the job here, I offered him. We had recruited Brad Davidson. I loved watching him play. I thought he was tough. He was hard-nosed, really good player. I know he's a great quarterback in high school as well, too. I loved his toughness. That's what I loved about Jose. And that was type of the guard I was trying to get when I first got the job. I offered Jose and offered Brad Davidson. That was the mold that I was looking at when I got the job here. And so he's a good player, fifth-year senior, and super senior, however you want to classify it. Obviously, Johnny Davis, pro prospect, stud. They've got multiple guys who are really good. They only average about 9 turnovers a game, so they're not going to beat themselves. They're just a really good basketball team, well-disciplined, fundamentally sound. And if we're fortunate enough to win the game, we'll have to play extremely well, and they're not going to beat themselves. So if we get the win, we're going to earn the win. They're not giving it to you. So should be a great atmosphere. Like I said on Friday, should be a great atmosphere tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. And I don't know has Wisconsin ever come to Georgia Tech?
Yes,
20 years ago. So first time in 20 years. And that's last time Georgia Tech's played Wisconsin. So it's been a 20-year deal. And so not every time you get a team like a Wisconsin to come into your home place. So should be. And we're honoring before the game the ACC championship from last year, so there'll be some giveaways for the fans as well tomorrow night. So looking forward to the opportunity.
Questions? Kelly, you went first.
Just in terms of kind of wondering where your team's at. This is a huge step up, really, from each of the teams you faced so far. Kind of curious to gauge where you're at in terms of development.
Well, Kelly, a few things. I think this year, and we've talked about it. I mean, more so than ever. I don't know how much even difference there is, and of course, people are, because of the difference of leagues. But I think this year more than any year, there's just so much. And I've always said this a lot. I know I have, but more so than ever, the amount of parity, whether it's in the Power 5 leagues or even the non-Power 5 leagues. I think if there's any year, Kelly, you might say there's a few teams that are separating themselves around the country, but I mean, I don't know if you can say more than a few. That I think there's just a bunch together of Power 5 and non-Power 5 all across the board that are just, there's not that difference of margin between them. And so I say all that to say, if you look at the rest of our schedule, we're guaranteed 26 remaining games because you include the first game of the ACC tournament. So that means you have 26 guaranteed games. Well, 24 of the 26 are coming from, Power 5 conferences. Georgia State, who's, we've obviously had our own struggles against Georgia State, and they got their whole team back, and they're really good. And then Alabama A&M, who's very well coached, and you look at around the country now these days, it's just there's the parity. So you're looking at all the games that we play of our 26. I mean, there's no margin of error. And every night's going to be, an opportunity, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I think you look around, it's just everybody's kind of just bunched up, and not just within our schedule, but all across the country. So it should be a great run as we move forward, and we'll get a lot of great opportunities in front of us, Kelly, and a lot, even in the next few months. And I mean, look, we got a top 25 team coming to McCamish. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. It's not McCamish, right, Moose?
Correct.
It's McCamish. McCamish. It's not McCamish anymore. It's McCamish. That's been changed.
When'd you guys find that out?
Well, we'll go with
Okay,
that.
Moose can talk about it afterwards. I'll let Moose make sure.
leave it at
Yeah,
that.
okay, but it's not McCamish, it's McCamish. But Moose can go in that whole detail.
Go ahead.
And I hope that gives you good, Andy, you better be talking about that on the radio too. So, yeah, so make sure you're having the right pronounced on that. So, so to have a top 25 team in McCamish, no, I'm just, that's what it is. That's the new name. Am I right?
That's correct.
How
It's
long
not,
is it gonna take
I
you
just,
to do
I'm
that?
just- so I'm just telling you, that's the deal. So it is McCamish. It is not McCamish. So don't pronounce it McCamish. McCamish. That being said, so we have a top 25 team here. I mean, North Carolina obviously coming in Sunday. You got LSU, which they might be top 20. Obviously, that's not here, but it's in State Farm. I mean, that they could be top 25, and then you play USC is top 25. I mean, so you just got a heck of a schedule, all throughout. So really excited. Many great opportunities in front of us.
Right.
Josh, you've played a lot of man in the out-of-conference
Yep.
schedule. How are your young guys progressing in practice, learning the
Well,
thing you like to do with the zone?
Rod, our defense's system is very complex, so it just takes a while. And that's why our defense is best when we're an older team who's been in the system for a while.
Right.
That's why last year you look at our defense, even, we've been good defensively for a lot of the years. Have I told you ever that 5 years have been, this might go on my 6th year, but the first 5 years, and this is a good stat, Andy, 2 of the 5 years we've had the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. 2 of the 5. That's a 40% success rate of having the Defensive Player of the Year. But wait to this. 5 straight years we've had somebody first team all defense. And then Jose Alvarado the last 2 years led the ACC in steals, the first time that's happened since Chris Paul. So we've been a pretty good defensive team. I say all that to say our defensive system is complex, and it does take a while for guys to pick it up and fully understand it. And that is why I've said it. At Georgia Tech, the best way for us to be successful in ACC play is to get old and stay old, because then our guys have been in the system enough to understand what they've got to do, so it's just going to continue to take time.
When you use it in a game now, is communication important, having the older guys, help them out?
Yeah, communication's everything. Whether you're man, zone, whatever defense, communication's the first line of being really good defensively.
Yep.
Ken?
What in particular is difficult about the way Wisconsin plays?
Well, if you look at them, Ken, I think they're one of the defensive points per game, one of the lowest in the country, or forcing teams, in the low 50s. You look at their possessions are low, so you got the valuing of every possession is just like you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, I always like to say EPIP, every possession is precious. I mean, times that by 100 in a game like this, because it's just so fewer possessions, so everyone becomes even that much more magnified. And they got, obviously, they are who they are, we are who we are, and we'll get a good test. I mean, we'll get a really good test and a good opportunity, and we're excited to play and kind of see where we're at.
Just in terms of team health now, as the flu started to mitigate?
Well, yesterday we were down 4 guys. That was better than the time before when we were down about 10. So we're down 4, but we're almost there. I feel today we should be back to our, only maybe 1 or 2 out. But we're almost gone through it. So it was been a heck of a deal to be able to do what we had to go through. That was just crazy.
Couple more. Kelly?
Tristan, will we see him?
Unfortunately, he obviously had the dental issue earlier in the year. And look, Tristan's, when he's been on the court in practice, he's done a nice job. He's gotten better, and he's going to be a good player. It's just, he's just been a little bit unlucky with obviously the dental issue, and then he's unfortunately has been hit with the flu. So he's been out with the flu. So he was out for the last few days, including yesterday as well. So tomorrow for him to even be on the bench will be TBD based on how he's feeling, because he got hit pretty hard with the flu. Just one of those things.
Having Smith out the last game. How did that affect what you wanted to do
Well,
offensively?
I think Kyle's really stepped up and played well, and but we want Davon to, Davon's a big part of what we do, and just having another really good player to help, especially at the point guard spot, so those guys can, give each other a rest as well too. So hopefully by tomorrow, Davon's healthy enough to play.
Real quick.
All right, one more.
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Just in terms of Bubba, how's his timeline?
Yep, good question. I'll know more, Kelly, by the end of this week on where do we see Bubba on his, because we're going to try to, this week he starts to be able to do individual skill instruction and different things like that. So by the end of the week, we'll know it. And obviously during this week, if he's having a lot of pain, then that will be an indicator that it's going to be longer than expected. And if he's pain-free, then hopefully sooner than later we can get him back. So I'll know more by the end of the week on how his knee feels.